Del Savio here for the Ask the Pack Leader Show. We are here with our co-host for the day, Prince. Is that Princey boy? Yes.
Prince, if you're the co-host, what am I?
Second co-host. Is that co-host only one person? No, it could be co-hosts. Yeah,
co-host. But yet I'm number two.
We got
What
here.
am I?
Number two.
Adam, behind the wheels of steel, as we like to say.
What's up, guys?
So for you guys, I don't know how many people know about my man Prince here, but Prince is a guy I adopted. Oh, damn, I don't even know how long it's been now. 3 years, is it? Or 2 years?
2 years
Don't
officially.
complain, though, bro. Look at his Disney Prince collar. I don't know if you guys can see. Can they see it? Prince Disney collar with like the Prince Disney writing.
Yeah, we could barely see it, but we could see it a little bit.
So Prince was a guy. He lived. All right. So here's the story on Prince. Prince was a guy who lived his whole life in a shelter. So they dropped him off at the shelter when he was a young guy. I think he was only like 3 or 4 months old. I know. God forbid you to sit somewhere still for a little bit. So they dropped him off when he was like 3 or 4 months old, and when they dropped him off, he was in a kennel that was too small for him. So he was
He's totally
growing.
thinking about coming off that.
Yeah,
chair
he's
right
like,
now.
because he knows like he's like, who's downstairs?
Exit strategy.
Jake and Cassie and everybody down there, and Nico. So the kennel was actually too small for him. So he was like growing in the kennel like around the size of the kennel, which is so fucked up, obviously. And then he grew up in a shelter that was obviously shelters are obviously can be a crazy environment. Hey, that's a complaint. This is the problem is sometimes when we're doing the show, we have to get the dogs up here and like do the cameras and make sure they're all like, you know, in the shot and everything.
Can you move your laptop back a little bit?
Let me bring him in that a little bit.
Yes, perfect.
So he stops thinking about that as an option. There. If you want to have my water, you can have my water.
And you can pull up to the table a little bit. Yeah,
Better?
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
So this is something too, just there. This because there was an opening here, it became an option. Now it's no longer an option for him.
He might drink your water.
Shh. That's not for you, bro.
If you don't mind scooting up a little bit more,
bro.
Steve, into the table.
Huh?
Just a little bit more. You'll be shot more. There you go.
So, so he came in the shelter in a kennel that was too small for him. He was literally growing around it. So he's overcome that. He's got a little bit of his back legs that go this way because of that thing. But he's gotten so much exercise. Look at this drama queen. He's gotten so much exercise that it shaped out pretty nicely. But yeah, this guy spent the first either 4 or 5 years of his life in a shelter environment, inside a kennel, you know, and a shelter kennel. So it's the concrete floors and the whole thing. And the shelters there, obviously, you know, it's not a place like this where we have the dogs balanced and fulfilled. There's tremendous frustration going to a shelter, a lot most shelters, I should say. So I've been to the shelter, and it's just, you know, the people are trying their hardest. There's volunteers. They're doing their best to try to help these dogs, but there's a lot of dogs with a lot of issues in these places. And this guy just developed in a really, you know, the dogs get super frustrated. So what happened was, look. There it goes. So look, he says, I'm just going to leave. We're going to put him right back on. This is good for you guys to see on the fly. Let's go. Come on. Up. Yes. I know you're getting bored, bro, but this is how we have to do it here.
Sorry we're boring you and you can't take your nap.
Thank you, pal. Yeah, I know. He's like, I'm supposed to be sleeping now. I know what you guys are doing. So I'm going to block you now. Where are you going to go now? So we got him. So what happened was they were trying to walk this guy and take him out. And anytime they took him out, he would get this like crazy excitement thing. And he would start like spinning, and then he'd start grabbing the leash. So it started with grabbing the leash. Then what he would do is he started progressing to, he starts the zoomy thing. And he would get because he was so frustrated, right? So he was just trying to release energy. And then what he would do, he would go up and he started biting people in the arms. So he was like causing some issues, obviously, when someone would be like, hey, I want to take Prince out and get him a walk. Look at this thing. Look at this guy.
Prince lives in his own little world.
By the way, yes, that's Prince. He lives in his own planet. So every once in a while he tunes in to Earth with those big, beautiful blue, look at those blue eyes, bro. Yes, he's a handsome boy. But yeah, so you know, he was started to bite, and that made him obviously unadoptable. They had numerous trainers came in. They were trying to correct him, trying to negotiate with him, all these kind of things. And it got to the point where I said, you know, one of the people from the shelter had asked me, could you help us with this dog? Could I bring him to one of the Sunday pack walks? And I said, yeah, sure. And, dude, come on, get your head up, bro. Act like you're a big boy now. Block that too, so he can go. So I said, yeah, bring him. So they brought him to the walk. And you would have thought when they brought this dog there that there was like a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the back of the car. They're all like, all right, he's back here. And I look and I'm saying, this guy, and he's like spinning in there and all this. I was like, yeah, this guy's just frustrated. And I was like, I can see how he can go to using the mouth and stuff, but that's not what we need to do. He doesn't need to do that. We just got to fulfill him. So he came to the walk. He did really well. No, I worked with him a little bit. I took him in the beginning of the walk. He didn't show any of that stuff. He was kind of in a new environment. And clean up, dude. You should have cleaned yourself, put some makeup on or something before the show.
I should have pulled that photo. We have a photo of you and him at the pack walk that he came to.
So it's in the Instagram somewhere if you go way back. So he came and then he did the zoomy thing there, and I just corrected him and he stopped. And I was trying to explain to them how to do it, and they tried to do it when they went back, but it just continued on. They still had the trainers coming. It wasn't working. So it got to the point where this guy was the longest resident at the shelter, and it got to the point where they were going to put him down because it's just how it goes in that world. Like it's a numbers game. So when you get to a certain point, they're fully booked, and this guy becomes completely unadoptable. It's either try to find him a sanctuary, and these sanctuaries, it's like they're so full with dogs, and shh, stop complaining, bro. The sanctuaries are full, so they were like, we're going to have to put him down. So I said, all right, don't put him down. Shh. He's thinking about just jumping on there right now, by the way. Yeah. God, it's such a miserable thing. Because this is normally his nap time, so he wants to go to sleep. He was passed out over here. I'm going to just finish with you. Prince, come on. I'm going to finish with you, and then you can go lay down, okay, pal? So the big bite history guy that was aggressive, that couldn't be unadopted.
I don't know if it's a good idea, but do you want a treat?
Good boy. No, he'll get too excited with
Too
the
much?
food. That was one of his huge issues, was with the food. Hey. So this is the side of him, right? This is the thing that people won't understand about a guy like him, is that when he's learned for 5 years, and especially through Imperial and through 5 years of his life, I just figure shit out on my own. I just do whatever I need to do. So right now he's thinking in that way of like, well, I don't want to be here, so I'm going to leave. But we're telling him he's got to stay here and deal with this so we can see all your nice eyes, even though you look miserable on the show, bro.
He's come a long way, though.
No, come a long way. So I'm going to let him, because this is a good state now, so I'm going to let him get off here. Shh. So even though I give space, he's not allowed to leave yet. Aha, eye contact. Okay, buddy. Don't knock the camera over. Prince, place. He's like so happy to be off the chair.
Usually
Just
don't
be on his
show
bed.
this stuff, but
Yeah, you can see him on the side here.
behind the scenes a little bit.
You happy now, buddy? Okay, you go to sleep now. Very good. Look at that, like he's like so fulfilled now. Yes, you can go to bed now, pal. Yes. And petting him was also a thing too. You can see even when I pet him, he gets a little bit like, it's a little much for me kind of thing.
I'll hold that chair for you.
Yeah. So anyway, the story with him. So I said, they were like, hey, Steve, there's nothing we can do anymore. Like he's run out of his time. We've tried to extend him so many times. Is there anything you can do to help us? Like, they're thinking about putting Prince down. And I said,
And everybody at the shelter loved him. They said he
they loved
he was
him.
sweet.
He's a nice guy, but then he just had these quirks of like the food thing. And remember, feeding at the shelter is like feeding at the zoo a lot of times. Like they start putting that kibble into those metal bowls, and the dogs start losing their minds because they're all frustrated. There's so much tension there. There's anxiety there. There's fear there. There's aggression there. There's a million things there. So that energy is just stuck in that like building in there, and it just moves all over. So it's not an easy thing to go and experience. Even for me, I have to like really prepare myself and breathe and like go through my stuff to put up that armor to be able to like withstand all that energy in there. So they were gonna put him down. So I said, you know what? Don't put him down. Just give me like a week or two. And I was like, let me figure it out. And this is like when we were like way more short-staffed than we even are now. And I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna do this, but we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I'll see what it is. And we'll just take him. So they brought him in, and they were like they were so happy that I was going to take him and that he wasn't going to be euthanized. And I was like, all right, so the first thing I had to do with this guy was like deal with that shit of his crazy spins and his nonsense and his craziness. So I took him for a walk, and I saw him as I'm walking. He marching along, this and that, and all of a sudden I see him. This thing comes over him. You know that thing? He's like,
oh yeah,
he still does it now, by the way. He still does it now, but he'll just like look at you like with the eyes, and he gets low and like looks at you like
it's like a warning.
Like he's like looking through your head almost. Like, you know what I mean? He's like just looking through you. So he's looking at me, and then I'm like, I just looked right back at him, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna bite you in the arm now because I feel like it.
He does like that torpedo. He gets the zoomies and
yeah, so
torpedoes on
he
the
started
leash.
like going back and forth and looked up at me like this, and then he launched up to like come after me, and with the leash, I had the leash. I knew it was coming too. So with the leash, as he came up in the air, as he almost was to the bite, with the leash, I had the leash shorter, and I popped the leash, boom, right in that thing. It like completely snapped him out of it in that moment. He like was like, what? And then I moved in and put him into a sit. Hey. And that was when I'm being like in calmness, but like assertive at level 10. Very strong with him, saying, listen, I understand you have this thing. I'm going to fulfill your energy and your exercise stuff. However, biting me because you're frustrated, not allowed. So he never had that in his life. So he was so confused, which is amazing, because in the confusion, now I can teach him, because he's trying to learn. Like, what is this? What's happening? I've never experienced this before. So, and he did it a bunch of times after that too. I had him one time in the front area in Hoboken. Then I progressed after the leash to off leash stuff, and then he wasn't doing it. But then I started playing with him, and in the play, he would start his spins, like we call it the spin cycle, like of a laundry machine.
Yeah. He tucks his butt under and then just launches.
And he starts going, like running back and forth, left, right, left, spin, spin. And then he gets close to a human, and he goes, and just goes to like bite. So in that one, when he came out to bite, touch. I did a touch right in his chest, boom. And he went, what? And moved back right there. So I hope I didn't like nail the, I probably did on the mic, but it's okay. You got to feel the impact.
You're allowed.
Yeah.
And remember, this is one that I'm not telling any of you guys to do. I'm not recommending anybody do this stuff with him. This is like years and years of working with these dogs, specifically this kind of a breed, of being able to help him through that and knowing, because like in that moment when I'm going to give the touch when he's in there, if you don't know the dog, like dog psychology way enough, like first of all, your own energy has to be correct in that. The intensity of the touch has to match his intensity. And the follow-through has to be there too. So you have to know what to do, and you have to be prepared for if you do that touch. If he says no, I'm going to touch you back and continue moving forward. So you're going to be prepared for that too. So don't try that shit at home. But that's the story of Prince and how we did it.
And he still gets the zoomies sometimes on leash. Very rare.
Yeah,
but
he does. He gets it at times, but he's not doing the biting thing anymore, which is nice. So he gets the zoomies, and it's much easier to interrupt them. So, and the thing that also tells you about how the stress of a shelter and stuff on these dogs is. Like, we were in Hoboken, and I put him in the front room by himself in Hoboken so he could relax and stuff. This dude slept for like 2.5 days straight. Do you remember that? He like literally slept for 2.5 days, and there's
he could actually sleep. That's why.
Yeah, in front of the house in Hoboken, there was like people walking by. There's cars. There's sirens. There's this. It's a city environment.
That was quiet compared to what he was used to.
You know what it reminded me of? The movie. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Is an old movie. My Cousin Vinny, one of my favorite movies of all time. And in that one, Vinny, the lawyer guy. I remember every hotel, every place he goes to, he keeps getting waken up by like trains and sirens and horns and all this thing. And then finally the judge puts him in jail. And it's like literally you hear like riots going on in the jail. And
he wanted to go to jail so he could get a good night's sleep.
Yeah. He goes, put me in jail. He goes, no, I'm going to stay in tonight. Don't bail me out so I can sleep. I want to try to sleep. That's what it felt like for him. Like he got out of it, but he was like getting out of jail almost and getting to sleep. So yeah, that's the story of him. We've had him for a few years now. He's an amazing guy. He's actually a real asset to us now because he helps me with other dogs, because this guy, I could put him around basically any single energy and he tolerates all dogs. And he lets when a dog comes to smell him, he just stands there. Like not freezes, but he just stays there calmly and lets the dog smell. He looks at me and I go, good boy. And then I remove the dog away. So when I have like fearful dogs or even aggression cases that like have never really smelled another dog, this is when I bring this guy into the picture and they can walk with him. And the dog can be, even puppies and like excited dogs, frustrated, whatever it is, aggression. When they start getting all on his stuff and everything, he's just like I'm fine. Like you can do whatever. You're another one. So that's the good side of Prince. So now Prince, this is like what I call the full cycle of rehabilitation, is the dogs who we rehabilitate now help us rehabilitate the new dogs that come in. So that's what we have with all of our dogs who've been through boarding train here. A lot of them come for boarding and they come stay with us. They come for camp, and then I have a new case coming in, and I'm like the director of like I need these players in the set. You know what I mean? Or these characters or these things to make this scene right. So there's certain dogs where I'm like I need Prince for this right now, or I need Nico for this, or back in the day I need Maddie, or I need Jake, or I need Apollo, whoever it is. So everyone plays a part in the pack, and this is what I'm saying. Like dog training is just let me train an individual dog, but dog psychology is let's use all dogs, or well, not all dogs, but dogs to help us because that's their own species. They can learn from their own species the best.
And the original plan was to foster him
and
adopt him out, but he was
I like him
such
too much.
an
That's
asset.
my problem. Yeah,
officially adopted him.
He was an asset, yes, but I just like him too much because he's such a quirky guy.
Yeah.
Where's my phone? I just want to take a video of him passed out so we can put it on the thing and show everybody during the podcast what he does when he was complaining in the beginning like a big baby. Now you're good because you get to lay down and sleep.
Airdrop that to me.
Huh?
Airdrop it to me when you're done.
Oh, okay. Now you can sleep now. Good night. Let me see how I do this. This is on the fly stuff. We can put it on here maybe, right?
Yeah.
They can see it. iPad X.
Yes.
Okay, so that's already technology. Shit's happening already. Crazy.
Remember you had him in the front. It was in Hoboken during a snowstorm, and he never really went out in the snow. When you let him do the zoomies in the front, he went crazy.
This guy's hilarious too, by the way, like Prince, because he grew up. Listen, so he grew up his whole life in a shelter. So when the weather, aside from snow, he's good at it. And of course, by the way, we're supposed to get a big snowstorm. We should talk about that.
Yeah, that was kind of my segue. But
Okay, good job on that one. What was I say? Like this guy, if it's a little bit too hot out, if it's a little bit too sunny, if it's a little bit too drizzle coming down, Prince is like, he's the biggest drama queen of all the. He's like, slams on the brake. Oh, I can't. How could I be out here?
This morning, what was he wearing on his walk?
Like
he had on a jacket, and then he has a scarf that goes all the way up over his
scarf
ears.
that covers all of his ears, so he can feel like, okay, on the walk 'cause it's too cold for Prince.
He was like miserable.
Yeah, I know, but it's
he
like,
has goggles
like, dude,
that he wears in the summer.
Here's Prince. I grew up in the first 4 or 5 years of my life on concrete, peeing and pooping and laying in it and all that, but if it's a little sunny out, that's way too much for me. That's
now Prince eats raw food. He has sunglasses.
Yeah, he wears sunglasses.
He has a winter coat.
Yeah, the spoiled brat.
So
now.
bougie.
Yeah, bougie pitty in the Prince with his Disney collar. But anyway, so Prince is one of them. We also have Luigi, another guy I adopted who was in a tough situation. You know, here's the thing. I would love to adopt all these dogs. It's just my time is impossible. And there's certain, like, Luigi's a little bit more of a case than this guy is, of one that we have to be, like, he has to live in a certain way. There's, like, because he lived 9 years a certain way, that we have to do certain things with him to make sure the staff is safe, to make sure he's safe, to make sure he doesn't have a relapse or any of that stuff. So it's very time consuming to take these dogs. That's why I'm talking so much about this prevention shit, so we don't have to continue doing this intervention thing of like getting these dogs. And because people are asking me all the time, can you take my dog? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to take them all, but then I'm just a hoarder at that point with dogs everywhere, making $0. I can't afford it, and
a border
the dogs all
hoarder?
Suffer. Border hoarder.
Border
yeah.
hoarder.
Yeah. So yeah, going into the snowstorm, Jamie segue. Going into the snowstorm. So today we're supposed to get what, like 18 inches of snow or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I know why she brought that up, by the way.
Why?
She's like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
No,
time. Can we wrap this podcast
It's not
up?
snowing
It's
till
time.
later.
Yeah.
It's time to leave.
So so supposed to get a big snowstorm. So it brings up a point of what everyone like is always asking me. What do I do when guests are coming over? Like, this is like for a lot of our training dogs, right? What do I do when guests are coming over? What do I do when I'm taking them to the vet? What do I do when I'm bringing them to a new place? We're going on a vacation. What do I do when I take them on a trip? All these things to me, it's like you already missed it because you're already in the experience and you haven't prepared for the experience, right? So obviously, even coming to, this is like also what's happening with people getting dogs too. It's like they don't prepare. They just like, oh my God, I love the way this dog looks. Let's bring it home. It's like,
Then they ask the question.
when should I start training? You're already training the dog. What should I get this dog? What do I do with this dog? Oh, he's mouthing. I don't know. Do you know anything about dog psychology? No, I don't know anything. So that's what I'm saying. We have to start preparing for these events that are happening and preparing to get a dog. But going into the snow thing is today we had the whole staff come in early and we've been biking dogs. Like you can see them. We're using the dog park. We are draining these dogs like you wouldn't believe because potentially starting at 4 or 5 o'clock today, we won't be able to get them out for 24 hours of at least like exercise. Because 18 inches of snow, you can't do anything with that. So that's why we're draining them and preparing, but not draining them and just letting them run around like crazy because then they'll get tired and then psychologically want to go back to that state. It's the bike rides, it's the walks, it's the rollerblading, it's the treadmill, it's the dog park, structured of course, pack walking them, like all that stuff that we're doing over the top right now and getting these dogs to be like, oh my God. So then look, that preparation now creates a state for those dogs of being, imagine like you did like a big like long ass CrossFit workout, you know what I mean? And it was like kind of out of nowhere, you just like challenge the body and mind. And then you're just like, holy shit, I need to like relax. Like for the next night and the next day, you're feeling a little sore and stuff. It's like, just recover time. So it's rest and recover. It's natural for the body and the mind to rest and recover after vigorous activity. So now the dog's starting at 5 p.m. today when the snow starts pouring in, and luckily it's happening through the night too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get everything plowed by the morning and stuff, but we'll see what happens. But now during this time, they're going to be in resting recovery state. So resting recovery equals calmness, and then we nurture that. Good job, guys. We put the lights lower. We put the 432 hertz on, so the calming frequencies are going to go on. We're going to, and then we still have, and then there's the other part of the preparation. All the dogs here who come with us, no treadmill. So we get them out. We're going to shovel out a nice area where they can just go to the bathroom. I know this guy's going to be the biggest drama queen of all time.
He already was before he came out
Yeah,
here.
forget. Oh my God, there's snow. I can't deal with this, but he'll go. Trust me. So we'll get him out there, and then we bring him in. They can still do treadmill for any of the dogs that still, if it goes long and all that stuff. So to me, guys, preparation. I actually posted in my Instagram stories today. It probably won't be up because when we post this thing, but of one of our clients, Zoe, who at 6:45 in the morning today, he's in Columbus Park in Hoboken, biking the dog around,
That's
going
great.
all over the place, biking away and preparing for the snowstorm because it's a high energy husky mix that they have. So keeping her back, because remember, a dog doesn't rationalize. We can't say like, hey, Prince, like, listen, dude, so it's going to be a lot of snow today, and like, so we need to just chill today and relax. Like, we'll have some drinks and hang out and, make a fire and chill and all that. The dog is just remember, a dog literally lives in the moment. So he's going to be like, yeah, I see all this snow and all that, but I feel this energy that I need to do something about it. So let me start pacing. Let me start barking. Let me start chewing shit. Let me start whining. Let me, all those things are going to start coming up. So I would recommend that whether it's a snowstorm, whether you're bringing your dog in the car, whether you're taking the dog to the vet, you're bringing it to a guest house, you're having people over. Like on Saturday, I'm having a bunch of my friends from home come over for like a guy's Christmas dinner thing, right? So it's like, for me, get the alcohol, get the food, clean the house, drain the fuck out of the dogs. Like, that's just how it's going to go. So, like, that's, and by the way, not even really in that order.
There's the video.
Huh? Yeah. See
Oh,
what I'm
there you
saying?
go.
Look at that. 28 degrees at 6:46 in the morning. So people want to know what a committed owner is. That's a committed owner. Like, well, it's cold outside. I don't know if I want to go out there. Don't give a dog then. You know what I mean? Because he needs to go out. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they're going to prepare Zoe, and now Zoe's going to be able to go through a snowstorm in a calm state. So, and relax inside, and they can and look, when you prepare the dog for that, now you can nurture, like, look, you're in a car ride, right? And the dog's been tired. So he goes in there and says, oh, in the car, that's where I rest and recover. That place means calmness. And while the dog is, and that's what you're petting him. Good boy. This is what I want more of. Nurturing that, adding gas to the calm fire, not the excited fire. Isn't it funny how people, like, the dog's excited, they all give attention, and look at him, he's so happy, and then the dog goes and lays down, they're like, I don't want to, like, so he's tired. Forget about him.
Yeah, because they confuse excitement with happiness.
Yeah, excitement and happiness. Those are two separate things, remember that. What else are we doing? Can we go right to the questions? Is there anything else happening?
Pretty much the snowstorm. That's what we're preparing for.
Yeah, me and Adam were out there yesterday, and we were preparing as humans, right? Like yesterday, we're getting the garage fixed up so we can put both the cars in there. We're storing shit. We have to get the snow blower. It cost a fortune, by the way, to get a snow blower. Yeah, getting everything, cleaning stuff all over the ranch, like because up here where we are, we're at a higher elevation. We're like 1,800 feet up here, so getting 18 inches of snow in the beginning of the winter, this snow could potentially be on the ground for a long period of time. Yeah. So what people don't realize is like, oh shit, where did we put that leash? Yeah. Or like, where is that thing?
Seriously,
it's under.
It's true.
It's under this much snow for
from
the
LA,
next
so
3 months,
I have no idea.
3-4 months. Yeah.
No idea about any of this stuff.
The best was when we went to pick up the snowblower yesterday. Adam's like looking at it like, what the fuck is like?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like some kind of machinery that I know how to use
it looks like a
eventually.
Yeah. But he's like, so what the?
You know what? Actually, you said something yesterday that I was like, yeah, this is something I need to start learning about. You said that your dad would tell you to like fill up the gas tanks of all the cars,
just in case
anything happens.
Yeah,
and that's a good one for me to start to.
Yeah, we got the
remember.
gas tanks prepared and the oil and everything. So, again, like we were just talking about preparing the dogs, but we're also preparing ourselves. Like, go to the supermarket right now. It's going to be a zoo over there. Go to Home Depot, zoo over there. That's a whole other story with the small business thing we won't get into. But like you go to those places full because everyone's beginning prepared. But then they're like, what about your dog? Did you do anything with your dog? He'll just have to deal with it. Fuck. That would be like telling them you can't go to the store, you can't get your gas, you can't get the snowblower, you're just going to have to deal with it.
Right.
Imagine the stress of like having none of the shit that we have or anything prepared. So now I feel good because I know we're prepared and ready to go. And we're going to feel good knowing the dogs are all going to be relaxed prior to this storm.
And you can't wait to use a snowblower.
Dying to use that thing. Yeah.
Come on, Snow.
You know what's funny? Like
Hurry
as a
up.
kid, I used to like the snow days. So I heard like in New York City they're not doing snow days anymore.
I was thinking about that this morning because if kids are learning virtually,
There's no snow days.
There's no snow days.
So like now there's not a snow day, and even
That's
when
a
they go
bummer.
back to but even when they go back to school, which whenever that happens with these, anyway, whenever they go back to school, they're still gonna, if it's a snow day, learn virtually. So you still have to use it. There's no snow off days.
That kind of sucks.
Just
That
blew
really
snow
sucks.
days were
Snow
great.
days were
that just blew my mind. Well, I never had a snow day, obviously.
Exactly.
But you can't miss a day of school anymore. It's like, oh yeah, just do it.
You could do it
virtually
yeah.
Virtually, yeah.
Growing up, we used to live for snow days.
This is what I'm saying. Like I would be like,
I remember the movie Snow Day.
This is what it was like for me, right? I'd be in my room, right, like my little ass room in my house, and I'd be sleeping, and I would go to bed being like, please no school. This is what I really, because like I wasn't the biggest fan of school, to be honest, because like you see me, I'm like a high energy shepherd that like they're like, okay, sit here and learn 6x4 like these what 24?
If you would have done some PE or whatever before,
that's what they should do.
They should have done that.
I would love that
kids.
if they did. And, you know, we did do that, believe it or not. Like especially in elementary school, you would go in the morning and the kids would run around.
Oh, really?
In the yards and all that shit, in the
For a
playgrounds.
little bit though, not like
Very short,
yeah.
while people were getting dropped off and stuff. It was very different back then, though. When I was in school, it was '89 or something. Like, and when I was 7 years old, so it was like late '80s, where it wasn't like as protected as it is now.
You know what?
Like, put them in the yard and let them go run around and play and shit.
I like seeing the difference between like how I grew up and how you guys grew up here on the East Coast. But did you guys have fences around your school?
Yes,
You did.
My elementary, yeah.
You did.
Not at the middle school or high school, I didn't. But in the
actually,
elementary
come
school,
to think
we
of
did.
it, yeah.
You
No,
did?
my middle school did.
Actually, you know what, dude? We only had a fence like near the road, but like you could just walk around the fucking fence and go into the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that, so it wasn't like fenced the whole way in.
Right.
Well, we were fenced in all the way in LA, all the way every school. But then going back to my elementary school, eventually, I saw more and more fences going up, like inside of the fences to like section things off. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, that's like something like that's what they should be doing with these kids. Is like, what about having gym first thing in the day?
Seriously.
Yeah.
So you physically drain the kids, and I'm like, and then they're like prepared to do a class. You know, like. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's what we used to do. Like, it was like just run around. And where were we going with that before, though?
You were talking about the snowstorm. You'd wake up in the morning.
Oh, my God. So I would be like,
praying that
please, God, no snow.
No, you would wait for the phone call.
I mean, please, God, snow.
You would wait for the phone call.
We didn't really have the phone call thing.
You didn't have the phone chain?
No. What we had
phone chain?
It was a phone chain. So everybody, you would get a phone call. Like, this is before cell phones.
That's you weird Jersey people. Us in New York, what we did was... Well, we did in at that age...
Jamie got shut down so hard.
No, but I know.
Oh, man.
I think
How did you get notified then?
So you would have to turn on the AM radio.
A bird.
And I wish I wanted.
Flew to his window and dropped him a note.
Yeah, exactly. There was like smoke signals and shit.
Oh my
no,
God.
we had like we would tune into AM radio. It was the local Rockland County radio station. I forget the name of it though.
No way, you had to tune into the
You're
radio.
joking.
I swear to God,
You're so old.
And every 10 minutes it would be the list of delays and closing. And you had to listen to all the schools of the county.
Oh, well, they would have that on the TV too, like on the news. They would show
we
it.
didn't have that shit in '88, '89, and all that shit. They weren't putting it on TV. It was like tune into the AM radio and find out if your school. You could call, obviously, but in the morning, so I would be like this. This was the thing. I would be laying in bed, and eventually the plow would come. So we were in more of the back. So by the time the plow got to us, that means like the main roads are being cleared and shit, right? So. I was like, I would pray that the plow, when I would be waking up, it would be like 6 or 5 o'clock in the morning because it was like still, or the plow would not come. So I'd be like, oh no, what time is it? Right away. I'd be like 7. Oh my God, school's gonna be closed. I thought it was TKR, but whatever. It was some Rockland radio. Here's the list of schools, and my school was Pearl River. So it'd be
So you had to wait till the end.
I had to wait. Orangetown School District is closed, and then you'd be like, Pearl River School District is closed. Let's go. Like party time. But the worst ever was you hear close. Pearl River School District, 2-hour delay.
Oh, yeah, that was the worst one.
2-hour delay.
And they would open after 2 hours?
Yeah, we would have delayed openings because they would have enough time to
clear. So
clear.
you had 1 hour and 2-hour delays.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
See, we used to have a
I'm
phone
talking
chain.
about dogs. You're talking about your 2-hour delays.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Have you guys watched that movie?
What?
Snow Day?
No,
It's like a not old movie. It's like a newer movie, you can say. But actually, it's funny that you guys are saying this because exactly what.
So anyway, yeah, no more snow days left, which really sucks for the kids. Sorry guys, but those are some of the best days ever.
Those are fun.
But all right, so preparation. So prepare your dogs. Long story short, prepare your dogs for a storm, for a car ride, for that stuff. That's structured exercise, significant, over the top, hit them hard, not to the point where you're exhausting the dog, to the point where it's like risky or overheating or any of that stuff. So be very careful and safe about it, but make sure they're really tired, like they really want to go lay down. Okay, let's get to some questions.
Are you ready now?
Anything else going on besides this blizzard coming in?
I think that's pretty much consuming most of our time right now.
Yeah. Something I realized too yesterday was like, even for like we exercised the hell out of Nico, but with us being outside yesterday for a long period of time, we were out for like 3 hours, and he was just out. You know, he's just out at the ranch doing his thing. We're obviously monitoring him and stuff, but he's hanging out. He's like, we're moving the van. He jumps in the van with us and goes up there. We drop the garbage. We come back down. We go. Now we're moving the thing. He's like, what's this thing? And like, how today and last night and today he was really tired. And he didn't do as much physical. He was just like, what are we doing
mentally.
here? Yeah, and then
because this is his first big snowstorm.
Yeah, and then certain things we were doing, I was like, here, lay down now, because we're moving the snowblower or we're unloading some heavy shit or like moving a big piece of wood or something like that. So it was like structure the whole time. Okay, go be free.
What's cool is when he jumped into the van, he was like
where we went?
Well, he went straight into the front with me, and he just laid right down, and I was like, dang, this is amazing. Let's go.
Like he was when
he's such I don't know if everybody knows the term roll dog, but it's just like a dog that just goes with you anywhere, you know? Just like
I said it to you yesterday. I was like, this is like what I envisioned when I was going to say I was going to get a shepherd at the ranch. Is like, it's just one of the guys with us, just hanging with us the whole time. Like, you don't have to worry about him. He's not going to like run away or do anything stupid. He just loves being with you. That's real leadership, by the way, too. Is like, where is Nico going to go? We provide everything in the world for him. So he's like, I'm going to run into the woods. And we're like, later. Like, where are you going to go? Like, that sucks in the woods out there. Like, we have everything for you here. We challenge you, do all that. So he has no interest of going anywhere. That's why people think, like, with Nico, I did some, like, fancy off-leash training with him. He's been off-leash his whole life just because we just nurtured. It's a psychological leash that we have on him. So he's psychologically on leash, yes, but physically off-leash a lot of his life. So that's the thing with leadership gives you, and dog psychology gives you. Questions?
Steve's ready. Let's go. All right. Our first question is from Shanae. Can dogs with bite histories be rehabbed and trusted around strangers and children?
How do you guys like this thing? Let us know in the comments. This is like a new we're keep obviously trying to update it, but like
I like. You know what I do?
Can you see it good on the camera?
Yeah, you can read it. Good. What I like is how Steve gets excited about things. I like this stuff too. Nice. He'll get excited and be like, yeah, this is great. We can do this now.
Because that's what it is. Like, we always talk about the progress, right? Yeah. So to me, like, if this show was like, all right, we're done. This is it. This is how it's gonna go. I would be like, I would get unhappy. I'd be bored. But now that we're like doing little things, like, oh, let's bring Prince on. Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring dogs on. Let's like make this thing that so it can look cool for them watching it. Let's get a bigger TV.
And the good thing is that we can evolve. We can grow into. Because like
you want to continue growing.
Yeah, because I'm actually used to being on set, on TV, film, and everything, so I know how to do all this stuff.
Very professional way.
Very, very professional.
But this is professional.
But we as a team are growing together. Yeah. Well, this set
unprofessional people doing professional things.
There you go.
Professional people doing
unprofessional people.
It's a little bit better.
But yeah, no, we're growing into it together, which is nice.
Okay, so read that again. Can dog? Want me to read it myself?
No, I'll read it for you.
Go downstairs then.
Oh, no.
Maybe Prince can read it since he's co-host number one.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I think she feels some type of way about that.
No, I love Princey. Okay. Can dogs with bite histories be rehabbed and trusted around strangers and children?
So what dog are you talking about? So we just talked Prince, yes. I could put him around kids. I could put him around all dogs, people, and I will have zero concern about him. But I know him, individual, not like the shelter dog who's a pity. No, I know the energy of Prince and who he is now. Now, when I first got him, no, I wouldn't have trusted him around people and kids and all that stuff. But now that I know him long enough, yes. But there are dogs that like I've worked with who, the amount of work that I've done with, like Luigi, it's a perfect example. Like, we've done a ton with him, but he's 10 years old, he's a pity, and he just had bit a lot of freaking people, had a lot of bad experiences, and he's got some medical things, not so much medical, but like the physical stuff with the allergies and the gut issues, and like, so he's also not physically, that's something we should talk about too, is like how when dogs, that people aren't thinking this way about, like, when I get these dogs with issues, I'm a lot of times like, how are their teeth? Like, how's their stool? Like, how does their poop look like? Is it poop like just coming out diarrhea or like this wet thing? Like, what's the food they're on? Like, all these things are factors too, because it matters for us. Imagine like eating garbage food all the time and being like, why aren't you like being like well behaved? How come you're so frustrated? Of course that's going to be an issue. So I'm looking at all those things, and like that was only for Prince. His teeth were like terrible when we got him, so they're way better now. And Jake too. That was one thing I noticed with him. Like who was the dog who we had here recently who had a reaction? Oh, Leo, the bulldog. I'm going to post him in the stories. The old bulldog. He was doing great for like 2 weeks, and then out of nowhere one day he's growling at the dogs at the front of the kennel. He's like took a lunge at one of the other dogs and the whole thing. And sure enough, that day, tons of diarrhea, like watery diarrhea, like sluggish, this and that. So he wasn't feeling good. So he was like dealing with it that way. He wanted to just keep people away and went to his normal go-to thing, which was fight state. So that's what Luigi does. And he's learned it for so long and had it imprinted in him of like, if push comes to shove and I get far enough with other people, not with me, he doesn't do it with me, but with certain people, I will move forward. Or dogs, for sure, I'll move forward. If I'm bothered, if my skin's itching me or I'm feeling not good, I'll just boom and do it. So I, on purpose, make him walk with a muzzle with the staff when they walk him. Well, I don't use a muzzle with him, but with them, I make him use a muzzle. So look, the two guys that I adopted in these situations, both pit bulls. This guy I'll trust with my nephew, my niece, little kids, humans coming over. He's great. With Luigi, not so much. He'll be in the muzzle for that stuff. Because unless I'm like watching the entire time and like, paying attention the whole time. So yes, it depends all again on the individual energy of the dog, not the breed, not the name, not like, where they came from and the whole story of the whole thing. The story matters, right? Like we need to know some stuff. It's not so much a story though, that's the truth. Like this dog, like we know that he bit somebody. We know that when this type of food is around, it can trigger him to whatever. Or he had a trauma this way, like humans with trauma. Like, yeah, this can affect this over here. But in my opinion, yeah, like it's all based on the individual dog. So like one of the dogs that we had for board and train is not one that I would say put around kids and all that stuff. He's a great dog 99% of the time, but that one time where you're not paying attention totally, or something happened, or you didn't see like that there was a piece of food right there and you reached to go do something and boom, big bite can happen. Like
especially with kids too.
Yeah, and Caesar has those dogs. Like Caesar had the dogs at the ranch. Adam knows. Like he had Holly there, he had Jojo there, he had Apollo there, he had Kiko there. These are all dogs that were like not, in my opinion, should be in public. They didn't have to be euthanized, but they needed a place like that to be and live.
Right.
So to me, like Luigi needs a place like this to live. Or a sanctuary or something like that for him to live. Because in normal everyday life, like it's just too much of a risk. Like people can have to be literally married to some of these like red zone cases. And it depends how far and bad they got, But do I think any dog should be put down? No. Aside from like genetic, I shouldn't say, genetic or like neurological, there's like a one case that I worked with was a chocolate lab who, normal dog, and then all of a sudden would sleep. And I never got to see it. But she told me that she was in like one of these long railroad apartments, like they call them in New York, like these long apart railroad apartments. And the dog would be all the way in the back of the house in the bedroom, and she would be sitting at the kitchen table, and she would go, and the dog would go, like turn into a rage and attack her full force, come like running across the house and attack. And I was like, let me ask you, when you see this dog, does it look like it's like blank, like there's like something gone, like there's nothing there? She's like, yeah, it's like she's not even on a planet. I have to guard with the chair, and then she like comes back, and then she goes switches back to normal. And just walks around and just like la la la. What happened? Like the dog was not there anymore. Snapped. So those are things, and it's like, people would say like, well, what dog is that? Like, what do I have to look for? It's like that's such a feeling, and to be able to see it and feel it, that it just feels like blank. Like some of the dogs we get, like I'm like, there's a little bit of like a blank thing here. There's a little bit of like not totally with us there. But that's a really hard one, and it's hard for me to explain that. That's all like instincts and feeling, and there is some body language and stuff. But it brings me to the point too of like when people talk about like we get these things, like it's so funny. Like I'll post something about whatever, and then someone, the brand new dog trainer who got their certification 5 minutes ago starts coming in and lecturing me about like the science has proven and no. And I'm like, listen, you're hearing this from somebody else. I've been doing this for 12 years, and the results are proving themselves. I've worked with a pack of dogs like the amount of days, like what's 10 years, 3,650 days. Like I've literally been with them at least that long, 3,000 days, and then multiple, 5, 10 dogs a day? It's like 30,000, 40,000 dogs, and owners and all that. So I have my own like data, my own like, they call it anecdotal data, or science. But the thing is like, I said like, she's like, the science is proven. I'm like, yeah, well, science also proved that, like, proved back in the day, I love using this one, that smoking cigarettes in moderation wasn't that it was only just okay for you, it was actually good for you. You know what I mean? I forget what it was, like 70s or 60s or 80s, whatever. But like smoking cigarettes in moderation is good for you. Like think about all the things that were good for us that it's like like diet soda. Have some diet soda. It's very good for you. Very healthy. It's actually somewhat worse in my opinion than the because of the cancer stuff in it. Yeah, sugar is going to kill you, of course.
Right, but then they put the fake sugar in it.
Yeah, it makes it worse. Aspartame.
Aspartame.
Yeah, they put all that shit in there, and then that's like what's killing. Or use Equal. That's good. Fucking kills you. Like. Yeah. So my point is what I said, and I actually said this to Caesar, and he loved the idea. I said, yeah, Caesar. He goes, what are we going to do with these science-proving people? I said, what we're going to do with them is that we're going to get our own studies done. It's just going to take time to get the funding and get the money to do it, and we're going to test all this stuff out and prove it. It's just we have to be patient in the time. He's like, I love this idea, because like I want to say that science has proven now that all this bullshit you were talking about is not true. We just don't have like.
But it takes a lot of time to
collect that data. We don't have billions of dollars.
Well, and
because listen, look at this, right? This is the thing. And I was watching that video that we're about to post on the dog that came from a vet behaviorist, the doodle with the muzzle on, with the aggression, all doped up on the Prozac and shit. These, like, I said, I always say this, not all, but a lot, or most, or majority of these people, right, are going to school. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get these degrees, right? To listen to other people teach them about what science has said and what the medical says and all that thing. So they spent all this money to get this degree. Do you think they're going to be like, fuck that degree, actually. I'll just like listen to what this random guy in New Jersey is talking about a dog? They're not gonna, because they're going to be like, what does he know about anything? Science, science, science. They're coming from an intellectual mindset, but not coming from an instinctual place.
Right.
If they were dealing with an instinctual animal, too.
Dealing with an instinctual animal. And animals are, right? So you're coming like of trying, this is what I like, I heard somebody say this somewhere else. I'm trying to remember the exact line. It was like, they know of the way a dog does things, but they don't know the way a dog does things. If that makes sense, right? Psychologically.
Say it again?
So they know of the dog and their behavior and their their temperaments and like what triggers and traumas and blah blah. They know of it. They can talk about it forever. But a lot of these people, and we've done this in LA, where we did a thing, train the trainers with Caesar, and we brought a bunch of people in to come do it. And they were like, we had positive trainers, we had these like balance trainers, we had vet behaviorists and all stuff. And I was watching, these people have no idea what to do with these dogs. Those individuals, again, I'm not saying all, right? But those individuals, like, they have no idea. Because they know it in theory. That's what I'm trying to say. They know the theory of it, of like what these dogs and why and this and prescribing and all that. But I'm like, put me and put the colleagues that I know, Caesar and our staff, put us anywhere in the world with like dogs, and we're going to be able to help those dogs right in that moment. I'm not going to be like, hey, where's my Prozac? Like, but this dog must be, and like talk for an hour about what's going on with the dog. It's like, the dog's anxious. We got it.
Right.
I don't need a fucking 17-page report that says that he's anxious.
All right. You can read a textbook and understand it, but can you apply it?
Can you apply? Yeah. So that's it. So I'm like, you guys know of it. So I actually said to this person, I said, listen, you're obviously new into this, but I'd recommend not going this route of starting the game, because you're just joining in with these groups who are just saying, let's go against. Let's be in a group and go against without much experience and talk a lot. I mean, granted, I do talk a lot, but like people are asking me to talk a lot. Like, it would be much easier for me to just go work these dogs all day long and not deal with anybody. But I feel like
why did that one make you laugh so much?
Because he never shuts up.
Yeah,
no.
because I
will say, but when you are working with the dogs, you really don't.
I'm like silent. People, and that's like we actually have an issue. That's a good point, because we actually have an issue. I don't
want to give the idea away. Actually, I'll save that.
That's actually an issue.
We're gonna make a video about something
like me talking about me working with the dog. Okay,
we'll do
but that's actually part of the issue, is when I get some of these new dogs in, I'm like super silent with them and doing my thing, and like the staff is like, dude, like, what are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like doing my thing with the dog, and then they're like, well, how are we going to learn, and this and that. Right. So I'm trying to figure out ways. I'm very much self-taught, but like also taught by watching. Like, I watched Caesar for almost a decade now, watching him do things, and then having my own experience with them and watching other people and then applying it in my way, and then just learning like myself, through the stuff independently. Like, all right, independently learning it and independent like observation. I'm not with any group. Like, I guarantee you there's certain things that me and Caesar would talk about that I'd be like, yeah, would you try this? And he'd be like, I wouldn't with that. And I'd be like, but for me, I feel like that would actually work. Like, and he would be totally fine with it. He's like, yeah, for you, maybe your energy or whatever. For that person, it could work. But we talk that way. Like, I talk with the other Caesar trainer. I talk with like other trainers and just vet behaviorists. We talk with all the positive trainers. Here's a great one, actually. And I actually talked to this person. This is what we talk about. maybe having her on the podcast, only because she wrote me this long email. I don't really even remember because this has happened numerous times. So she came from a rescue world and the positive only force free thing or whatever they call it, right? And she called me and said, I'd like to have a video call or a phone call with you. I remember actually sitting at the desk in Hoboken, like how many times I had these conversations. And she was asking me all these things like, how are you doing with this aggression thing? I can't have this public conversation with you because my rescue community will shame me and they'll go against me and like shut me down and all this stuff. So can we keep this private? Sure. I've done that with them, with positive trainers, balance trainers, vets, vet behaviorists. But I respect what they're saying because I'm not going to be like, oh, I talked to this person. If some of the people heard the people, they'd be like, holy shit, you talked to them? Yeah. But I talked to her and she writes this whole email. It says, I don't know if you remember, I talked to you like 5 or 6 years ago. And I was in the rescue community with all these positive people. And I was really having an issue with the amount of dogs we were putting down. And you talked to me and I was like, and she said, I can't have enough gratitude for you or for whatever she said about how you didn't judge me, you didn't like shame me, you didn't tell me I was wrong, and you were just open and explaining what you did. And even when I questioned you a little hard on things, like it didn't bother you, it didn't make you angry, and I was like, yeah, because I'm secure in what I'm doing, and I feel like it's the right way. So when you feel things are right and you're being honest, what is there to be insecure about?
Right.
So she tells me, and then she sends me her link of what she's doing now. I go to Instagram, she's got like a fuckload of followers now, and she's doing more of like what we're doing of like the dog psychology and this, and she actually lives like somewhere in this area too. So I said, like, maybe you should come and see the ranch and we could, like, have a talk and, like, what you went through. If she's open to it. I don't know if she's going to be open to it, to do that, or she might be worried about the attacks that come. Think about how crazy that is, though. Someone's just on their journey learning about dogs, and then, like, people are going to attack. That's hate. I don't care.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, they're going to go and attack and hate on. And I'm like, that's anger, and that gets into our last podcast, talking about anger, where it comes from, and all that. So we kind of got off on that thing, but...
A little bit.
But it just brought me to that point. One little point, as usual.
Yeah.
one more point. Yeah.
One more.
But yeah, that'd be really cool to have her on too. So anyway, the getting back to this thing, yes, it depends on the individual dog. I talked to that lady. Adam heard the conversation. That was a tough conversation where I could feel the stress of the woman. She's been
I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that. I was going to bring it up, but
I don't want to really like
not in detail, obviously, but a lot of the things you mentioned happened in that conversation.
Yeah, like she's calling me because she wants to send a dog here, and I said, listen, we have like 5-6 month wait for dogs right now, and she's like, but I need solutions now, like very confrontational. And I'm like, listen, I understand you need solutions. I'm trying to help you free of charge right now. And she's like, well, and then she starts questioning the way I do things with the dogs. So most people, like, especially me in the past too, I probably been like, how dare you question me and stuff, like kind of thing. But I was like, that's fine. And then she started talking about, well, these people from Tufts and these people with 45 years of experience, blah, blah. And I said, and what are they all saying? They said, well, they're all saying to put the dog down. I said, so?
Right.
If you don't want to listen to my way or what I'm saying, then go your way. Or what can I tell you? She said, well, that's why I'm talking to you. I'm playing devil's advocate. And like just... It ended on, you heard it, right? The conversation ended because I was able to keep my composure, because that's to me like the aggression case or the frustrated dog. And I understand her. She's tired and she's been through a lot of shit with this dog and trying to figure out what to do with it. And I just like maintain my calmness, maintain my confidence throughout the conversation, explain to her, I'm not here to sell you on what I'm doing with the dogs. My results are not my, but our, and like dog psychology results are continuing to prove over and over that all these theories of dogs that have to be medicated, have to be isolated, have to be euthanized is not true. And she actually said to me, and she said, you and Caesar need to really watch your words. I said, why is that? She said, because you shouldn't be telling people that no dog should be euthanized unless they have neurological, right? And I was like, but I do believe that. And she's like, well, yeah, if they live with you. And I said, yeah, I know. But that's what I'm trying to do, is educate people. So there's more people like me and you and us out there. So dogs don't need to be euthanized. But right now, unfortunately, there is. I understand why certain dogs are being euthanized, because it's just there's no other options. The dog is a dangerous risk to the house. There's no sanctuary available, no amount of medication. Like, what kind of life is that for a dog to live doped up its whole life in a box, you know, or like live in some shelter or some place like in a concrete, like this guy had to live in the beginning of his life. So I'll never shame somebody for that stuff. I try to understand and try to see like where are they coming from and understand them. But that brings me to the other thing, that quote too, but let's not go to that yet. Let's go to the next question and then we'll get to that one, because I just thought there's a quote that I posted today that we could put up on the thing if we find it.
You kind of touched on this.
And ask me questions. I know, like, Yeah.
I'll look for it real quick.
Look for it. I sometimes get on. Obviously, you guys can feel my passion about this thing and how much. And I know I go all over the place on it, but I'm providing value for everybody that they can really understand where I'm coming from. Of just trying to get as much of this information out. It's not as like I don't really we don't calculate aside from like getting the questions. It's like I don't like sit and like, all right, what am I going to talk about today? Is that I literally come
you
up
don't
here.
ever
We are getting better at it. So and actually, Jamie, you're doing a really good job of keeping things kind of organized for us. How do you feel that he answered this question? Did we get there?
This one?
The way Steve answers the question.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, no, but
difficult.
but you've done it in the past where like she's kind of like reiterated and like for people to understand better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What do you feel for this one?
No, I think you answered it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I wouldn't say a tough question, but it is very.
I like the vague ones a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of prefer them because he can
I like
go
it.
in a different direction.
Maybe
Yeah.
this is a good segue. Let's look at this next question.
Okay.
You touched on this one a little bit.
This one's a little bit hard to read, so I'll just kind of do this one of these guys.
Yeah. Okay. So how do I distinguish between the information of what the story behind the rescue people tell me about the dog and what's the true nature behind the dog's behavior?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that, but
Yeah, I really like this question.
yeah, it's a good one. Why do you like it so much?
Why do I like it? Because I think it's true. A lot of the
Stories.
rescues, everyone creates a story for the dog, and then the owners hold on to that story.
Yeah,
That's
we
a-
get,
that's
a huge
we
one.
get that a lot.
Very true, and people have stories in general about their lives, about their
Right.
dogs, whatever. But this one's huge. We see this all the time.
Constantly. So
With
especially
rescues.
with the rescue thing.
Yeah, with
And-
rescues,
but even with the dogs who have been born like and came right to the owners too. They're like, oh, he doesn't like and because and we start rationalizing. Dogs don't rationalize, but humans rationalize. So they're like, oh, he really hates it. First of all, dogs don't hate anything. He just has.
Which is what I told you this morning about Prince.
Yeah.
That she's like,
Oh,
he
yeah, I
hates us
said that
now. I was
too.
like, I
He
don't think
doesn't,
he
he
hates
doesn't
it.
have the most healthy association with snuff.
exactly.
Like or whatever the weather is.
Yep.
We just like being dramatic with Prince.
Yeah, people hold on to the story, right? Because humans remember past, present, future. Dog lives in the moment. That was something going back to the last question where I was talking about the new trainer who was like trying to lecture me about dogs. She's been literally. I saw her. She got her degree from some like clicker academy thing like in 2020, and she's like telling me this is how dogs go.
So probably an online course.
Bum, 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 bum. But she's with that. So, but I have empathy because she's with those people who are these like lecturing intellectuals, but don't really understand instincts. But yeah, so my point is with this is the story becomes like, oh, that's what I was gonna say. She said that dogs don't live in the moment. Dogs
They
have been
don't.
past. How could they remember something? So she was just showing her cards of like, I really don't understand animals and stuff like that. I was saying because they react to an association. So Prince right now is not thinking about his time at the shelter and when he was feeding there. And look at him, he's passed out, right? But if I put kibble into a bowl right now, kring, that's going to start with him for sure. He's not thinking, back at that shelter and all that stuff. It's in a reaction to the association that happened to his body and mind based on the past. I hope that can, like, this is one of the harder ones for me to explain to people.
Say it one more time.
Yeah, I think you explained it, but just say it a little bit slower.
Okay, so when I'm putting the kibble in there, Prince is not thinking in the past about what happened. Now, does the past matter? Yes, because in the past, an association was created, right? So meaning that the food there he got him to a state of arousal, because the energy was so crazy, got him to a state of such arousal, anxiety, excitement, freaking the fuck out. And then they put food there, which is a primary reinforcer, which means to a dog, physically and psychologically, whatever they're doing, they're going to do more of that, more intensely when they're eating. So it like stamps or imprints in the mind when we hear that thing, this is what I do. But my point is when we start doing that now, he's not thinking about the shelter. He's not thinking about like he's saying this is what I do in this situation. It would be like right now if someone put like a thing of tequila right here for me. I don't know.
For both of you guys.
We talked about this, I think, too, right? Like, but that smell of tequila for me reminds me of being in like Club Exit when I was like 19 years old and drinking a fuckload of tequila and throwing up like all night long. So it makes me already start feeling,
You have a
like
bad
that.
association with
But
it.
I'm a human, so I will think about that.
Right.
So I will have the memory of that. I'll remember that too. I'll be thinking about when I was back there. Oh yeah, when I was there, I can visualize all that stuff. If I did the same thing to Prince, he's just like, now I get crazy about food. He's not thinking about the shelter. I hope that makes sense. And people say, how do you know that? It's obvious to me, but how do you prove that? They're doing all these cognitive tests on dogs and trying to come up with all these theories, but they're all coming from the intellectual standpoint, not the instinctual. That's why Caesar is the most misunderstood guy when it comes to dogs. The most, by far. Because everyone's looking at it from an intellectual standpoint.
The science isn't
science. They're looking at it from an intellectual standpoint, but not from an instinctual standpoint. So that's what they're missing out. Caesar's straight instincts.
Right.
He's intellectual. He's doing it in an intellectual way now when we do the TCW course and his media, that I told him to do more media, which is awesome. Thank you, Caesar, for doing that. But he's doing more of that stuff and trying to explain it to people. But that's why he says, you guys need to come here and feel it.
Yeah.
You need to feel this stuff. That's why when we're bringing the dogs around, like bringing these dogs who had aggression, I'm putting it. I'm not just showing them the video. They have to come see that shit and feel that shit in person. Feel what it feels like to have your dog around other dogs. That's instincts. You're kicking in and tapping into instincts. What the hell were we talking about? Yeah. So the story. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. The story with the dog.
I was actually gonna remind you about the story.
Yeah. Story would be like, he came, this is the typical thing. He came from the South, he came from this, he was a street dog, and he was starving. These are the ones that a lot of them come in overweight, by the way, the dogs, because he was so frail and he was so hungry. So the human brings this emotional thing to it of like, I'm just gonna feed you and look at your home and pour that. The dog's coming in like, man, these people feed me a lot of damn food. And I guess no one leads in this house because they're living in the moment.
Right.
So yeah, the story can be created, or, we get the one where the people say, my dog really has an issue with this certain race of people, right? He hates them. No, he just has no association with them, or it confuses them, or he's never seen that. So
or he had a bad association.
Or a bad association. Yeah, like it could be like a dog who was raised in, let's just say, like a Latin community, right? A bunch of Latin people there. And then you bring that dog to somewhere where there's African Americans or white people or Oriental people, whatever it is. They're gonna, if they're looking, if the dog's in eyes too. Like Nico, like he doesn't care who comes. When the workers come, they're all different. Here he's smelling them, so he's using nose. That's the way he's seeing them.
He's different.
And then he's smelling and saying, "Oh, I see. Like now I see that this, whatever you look like, this is who you are, though, is the smell."
He is different, but going back to the association, he hasn't had any bad associations with anybody.
That's true too.
Doesn't matter what color, doesn't matter anything.
Right.
So when people are in a city, right, and they're wearing
hoods,
a hood or whatever, and then
moving fast,
that hooded person is moving fast or moves sketchily, like in a weird way towards the dog's gonna be like, now people with hoods actually get
if the human doesn't know how to recover that,
right,
and
most people don't.
Say, hey, can you come back, or let me put a hood on and help him with that thing, right? So yeah, it's a story. Then humans hold on to the story and they treat him like this fragile, like prince. Yeah, I'm treating you like the shelter dog right now, dude. Treating you like the spoiled brat you are now. Hey.
He's the worst poker player ever.
I know.
He was about to put his foot
He's
off.
literally on the edge and he goes.
Yeah.
He goes. That's why I have him here. He hears somebody, the dog's down there. So the story, again, like I'm not worried about the story of him. They would say like, well, he was born in his body and this, and then they're going to overfeed him and they're going to cuddle him and hug him because of his past. He's just like, these people are weak. They let me invade their space. They don't do anything about my excitement thing. They don't fulfill me. That's just happening all over the place. So again, with the skinny, like the dogs come skinny, or he was used.
And Prince was what, 20 pounds
yeah,
heavier?
Skinny as hell.
No,
he's
when
fat
he
as
first
hell.
came
Yeah,
here,
because they kept feeding him in there. Yeah, because they felt bad for him. But
different dog.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
completely.
I hope that makes sense about the story. So people are focused on the story. I'm focused on what it is now. And there's definitely like data that matters to me, like the data about him, about how he does. Like that's data, and it's ideal to know those things, but that's not who he is now. You know what I mean?
But that goes for people too.
Yeah, of course.
Like everyone has a past, but what is your future look like? What are you doing now?
I'm a perfect example of that thing.
Exactly.
Your past does not equal your future.
That's right.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I love that shit. It's so good. But yeah, so people are holding on to the story, and then they hold on to a story, and they're like, you were a rescue, you were on the streets, and you were skinny, and you got abused, and you were used as a bait dog, and and some of them don't even know the stories, and they're just like, he was just this rescue. And in my opinion, some of the rescues are overdoing it way too much to get these dogs rescued and get donations and do that. Not all, not all.
So actually, maybe they use the story a little bit to get them
adopted.
Yeah,
like this guy had a hard start to life, but will you save him and all that shit? It's like, yeah, I know, but is that the right fucking dog for you?
Right.
Like, yeah, you could save.
And is
you
that
could
the right
save
way
him,
of going about it too?
And by the way,
the pity story.
Are you even saving him? Because you could be trapping him too. Because I see a lot of these clients who get these dogs. Like I've had clients where I stopped working with them because they're like, I'm not doing that stuff and I'm not getting rid of the dog. I go, that's pretty selfish, and that's like borderline abuse to the dog, just psychological abuse. Because you're keeping that dog in your life trapped there in a relationship that he does not want to be in, and petting him and feeling sorry for him and all that shit. Where imagine that dog being replaced and being at the ranch now with us. like how much of a better life it would have, you know? So the story is a story. It's nonfiction, or it's something that's or no, it's fiction, right? It's like it's based on like this is what he's feeling and this is that. And humans rationalize because that's the complexity of our brain is we can be like if I walked up here and this was filled, I'm gonna be like someone. I wonder who filled it. Maybe Jamie filled it because like I'm gonna start like thinking this way. You know what I mean? What did Prince do? Oh, there's water here. Let me drink it. Yeah. You know, that's like he's not thinking about like I wonder how the water got here and maybe it was Adam was up here first because then maybe who put the glass? Who got these glasses made by the way? Maybe the glass. Why this? You know, like they're not thinking that way. Water's here. I don't want water right now.
This is a good clarification. Is actually there's a story which is fact that happened, but what you said is
not always.
So, but hold on. There's a fact something happened. It could have been not always, but what I'm saying is something happened. People attach an emotion to it.
Yeah,
and that's what like.
Or they create their own story. Is my point.
They create their own story, but even if the story is truth and there's fact involved in it, there's an emotion attached to it, which people people have to understand that the dogs don't have. It's
more of the story of what it means to that dog. So yeah, like you're correct. Like there could be a fact, like he was used as a bait dog, and we know it for a fact. So then they say, then the story becomes. Because he was a bait dog, now he hates all other dogs. He'll never be able to be around other dogs. He's aggressive. He's been a victim his whole life. We need to keep him sheltered. We need to do all this shit with him. So the story is not true. But the fact that created, or like there's certain like truthful things that have happened that now create the story. It's like if you did like based on a true story.
Right.
Right.
It's not the fucking true story. Right. There's facts of this that are true that happen, and then we've created our own story around it.
Correct.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So. Next.
I think that was a really good way.
I love how you've just been like cutting them off.
Yeah, like and again in the comments, let me know if this stuff is making sense to you. If you have questions about it, and then we can like bring those comments back on and reiterate what we were talking about. Or I can explain it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can prepare better.
I think this is going to be our last question for today.
Shit. Okay. We just did that question.
No, it's a different one. Okay. Dog Mantra asks. Well, it says a tip from you to people buying or adopting a dog out of impulse and end up getting a wrong energy dog. You kind of touched on this a little bit too.
A tip for you from...
What would be your tip?
From you to people buying or adopting a dog out of impulse. Don't do that. That's number one. And end up getting the wrong energy dog. Rehome the dog. End of show. No, but like that's really like don't get a dog on impulse because that's what it is. And that, getting back to what we were saying with the rescues, people scroll through the rescue page and they're looking... Mm-hmm. Oh, look at this one, honey. Look at how cute he is, and like, so emotion, like, so instinctual, intellectual, emotional, spiritual world, emotional world now. So now, oh my God, look at how cute he is. And by the way, what we were talking about with those other trainers too, that's emotional and intellectual too, because they get angry about it, they're frustrated about it, they don't really understand, so they get like weak and defensive about things, and then they're coming from an intellectual place too. But same thing here, emotional. Hey, look at him, and we should go see him. And he just look at the story of him that the rescue did. The story,
and
right?
And the story can amplify whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like a pity is a pity is a pity, right? And people like pities. They like that. It's almost like buying something that belonged to like a celebrity, which is It's a meaningless thing. It's like a napkin, but you buy it because it belonged to a celebrity.
Why do you think on those commercials for the rescues or whatever with the Sarah McLachlan song,
right.
In the and it shows the dog like all slow motion in the fucking kennel with no food and stuff, and people are just donate because it's an emotional thing.
They feel bad. They feel guilty.
It's an emotional thing. So. And not always the
most... Which, by the way, if I put Prince outside in the snowstorm, he would look like miserable. He would look like...
Put the slow-mo. We should shoot it today. Put him in slow-mo. Put him in slow-mo on the camera and put that song over him. Like, oh my God. And we should put like a GoFundMe. We'll probably make like $1 million.
Yeah. GoFundMe.
Now you can actually give us something. You've been giving us a lot, buddy. But yeah, like, so don't get a dog on impulse. It has to be, in my opinion, we were talking, and this brings it back to the preparation thing too. Are you prepared to have a dog? Do you understand dog psychology? Number one. Is your house proofed for a dog, period? Do you understand what the proper compatibility for you? Are you honest with yourself to be able to have your own, are you honest with your lifestyle, your energy? I'm not anxious. I'm not anxious. I won't bring an anxiety dog. What are you talking about? Not me. I'm good. I'm going to get a dog. It's like, dude. You should not be getting a dog. You should be working on your own anxiety. I actually posted something today in the stories about the the hell did I say? See if you can find it on the Instagram or it's in the stories today. These are things, by the way, when I posted this, if you look at the time on it, it was like 5-something a.m. I literally, like, I'm laying in bed like this, and I like wake up and I'm like, I know. And I literally pull up like the app to make it. I find the picture and I'm like typing it up and I'm like post and I go.
Yeah,
I have to get this out of my brain.
And then at 7:30 this morning, you're like, "Oh, did you see my post?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No." When
So
he's like, "I posted at 5:30."
Jamie, you're slacking.
Like,
You have
sorry,
to be, you have to be
I know.
seeing
I
things
missed
as,
it.
Jamie
as
showed
soon
me
as
up
they're
like 7
posted.
a.m. Like, you didn't see it yet while you were driving? What's wrong
As
with you?
soon as they're posted, Jamie.
So I said here, the most important relationship in your life is the one you have with yourself. Too many people create a toxic relationship with their dog to cope with the toxic relationship they have with themselves, and both suffer, meaning the dog and the human. Work on yourself, value yourself, and love yourself before getting into a relationship with someone else, especially a dog. That's pretty good. I have to give myself some credit on that one with my little script at the end there.
So what made you think
And I found the picture, too, that had the reflection, right? Like, it's like do you know yourself? Like, that's the most important relationship you'll have.
The reflection would have been nice if it was the dog's reflection underneath.
I know. But I was half awake at 5
So
a.m.
what made you think about that?
I don't know. It was something like I woke up. Like
You just woke up with it?
Yeah, like sometimes I get up and I'm like, oh, you know what actually made me think of it? Was the night before I was looking at some sales thing. And the guy, I told you guys this, some sales, like high-end sales guy, and he was talking about how people are all looking for, and reminding me of this stuff, they're looking for like the technique of how do I sell the best, this and that, like how do I build a relationship with this client and build rapport and all that stuff. And he's like, forget all that shit. The most important thing is the relationship with yourself. If you don't have confidence, if you don't feel like happy, if you don't love yourself, people are gonna be able to tell. So I was telling you guys, I was like, that's just his way of saying that they can feel your energy.
Right.
Through the phone. That you don't know you're selling me bullshit because you're not even certain in yourself, let alone this fucking product or service that you're selling me.
Right.
So that basically is what we're talking about when the guy was saying with that dog. If you could put that with the dog, the last question, whatever it was, about like should I get the impulse? It's like, do you know yourself? That's the first question, and people are getting into relationships with boyfriend, girlfriend. Getting a spouse, having children. By the way, that's another relationship they're getting into. They have issues with their parents. They have all these things going on with other people. But if you ask them, like, what's the relationship with yourself? They have sometimes the hardest time even talking about what it is because they come up with the story about what they are and why it is and this and that, and they're not being honest with themselves. And why do I say that? Because I was the fucking billboard picture of who that was. No, I'm tough. I don't need that shit. Fuck that. I'm good. I'm making money. I don't care. Angry, unhappy, frustrated, insecure, defensive, offended by everybody. Same thing. But when I finally came to terms with that and face that shit, like with that reflection, face yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say, damn, I am this thing. Okay. That's like, to me, people are like terrified to do it. But once you do it, it's like you should be like, feel so blessed and in such gratitude that you can finally see.
Right.
Oh my God, I can see what I am now. I'm conscious of it. I'm not just running around in this subconscious my whole life like I've been doing. So again, this is why Caesar has been saying this shit for, I don't even know, 20 years, 15 years. The human behind the dog. The dog training world is not talking about that. Go on all these sites. Like I buy all the programs. I buy them all. I'm like supporting all these people's programs. But I buy them all to watch them. And I'm saying, look, not one thing about the human energy. Who's holding the leash? Do you see this person's anxiety? Yeah, but when they get better learning the training, they'll get better. No, they won't.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, they make it a little bit better with the dog and learn how to control a dog. But that dog is always going to be like, I live with an anxious human and I can feel it, and it doesn't make sense to follow that human. You see what I'm saying? I got a little fired up there. But it's true because it means a lot, because like that's what I'm trying to like get everyone to hear and see is like the questions are always the same. It's like about the dog. And I understand that you guys want to know about the dogs and the techniques and all that stuff, but like when I'm talking about the Wim Hof cold showers and breathing, when I talk about meditation, when I talk about forgiving your mother and father, when I talk about being aware of your what triggers you have, dealing with your traumas, everyone's like, yeah, I know, but how do I get a dog off leash? It's like, no, wrong. That shit first, then I'll give you all the stuff, because you're prepared. There you go. Then you're prepared. Because now you're prepared to bring a dog into your life. Maddie, I mean, it's hard for me to say it, but Maddie suffered in the beginning of her life with a fucking tense, crazy guy in the beginning. You know what I mean? But thank God for her, she taught me about myself. Like, that's the one who taught me about myself. So she went through some bullshit and had to deal with that because I brought a dog into my life when I wasn't prepared to have a dog in my life. I knew a lot of the dog stuff. I guaranteed I knew a lot than most of the followers about the dog thing, like the dog techniques and the psychology and all that stuff, but I didn't really understand myself. And I didn't want to look at myself. And when I finally started looking at myself, that's when everything changed. And I had an amazing relationship with that dog for the last at least half of her life, you know, the last 5-6 years.
If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here.
No, that's, I mean, look, it's like all over the place.
I know.
Like,
that's what, you didn't do your show and tell.
I'll do that on the next one.
That's
the
a
Christmas
good one.
episode.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, we have a surprise for you guys.
Yeah,
see that. So
that'll be a good one.
That's a really good one.
Super sick.
Last thing I wanted to say though, with that point, is that it's never too late.
No.
It's never too late.
And by the way, there's too many people, in my opinion,
to get it with your dog.
To get it with your dog, but get it with yourself first.
Yeah.
And there's too many people who I see who are 60, 70, 80 years old who are still in it.
Yeah.
Who are still like, no, not me. Set in their ways. It's to me, they're just suffering throughout life. They're not actually living life. They're living in suffrage. Is it suffrage or suffering? They're just suffering their whole life. Keep suffering then. Like you're gonna live in hell for your whole life. You just may not be aware of it.
Right. And
a lot of people, just like these dogs who come in when they're all fucked up, they don't know where we're trying to bring them. So they're like, they fight it. They're like, I'm not going to follow you. I'm not going to, or they flight and they run away from it, or they avoid, or do all these things because they don't know what's over here. But I'm one who can like rationalize for these guys and explain to you people that once you go past this like mountain that it looks like, there's no other way. Everyone's trying to look around. Like, how do I get through this thing? You just got to go through that fucking mountain or that rock wall or that roadblock. You got to face that shit. Right. And once you face it, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not
hard,
easy.
But
it's not easy.
Nothing's easy.
Because we're a fight-flight animal that's going to feel like if we're like opening up and looking at stuff, we become vulnerable. So who's going to attack us in that mode? But if there's people in your life that are attacking you in that mode, get them the fuck out of your life. Sorry, I got fired up there again. But it's true. That's what. And I was lucky enough. Believe it sounds crazy, right? But I was lucky enough when I went through my shit that people weeded themselves out. People would like turn their back on me. I'm like, fuck off. I'm not talking to you anymore. Like, you're useless to me. You're a piece of shit. I got texts.
I don't think you're the only one. I mean, at least here.
No, but I literally got texts. I got texts from people who were trying to ruin my business. They were trying to like all this stuff because I made all these fucking mistakes in my life. You know. So, but then now looking back, then it really hurt when it happened. But now looking back, and I'm like, those people are in anger and pain. They haven't dealt with their shit, and it's likely that they still are, which sucks. But it is what it is. But you know what? Going with that too, it can seem like all these people are turning against me, and in that moment, yeah. But that also opens the door to a lot of amazing things to happen. Who's going to replace that stuff, that negativity and all that anger? Who's going to come in? I was
going to say you don't want those people in your life anyway.
No. Or like, I actually have I've forgiven all that stuff. I apologize for all the things I've done in my life. And I forgive them for being like that. So I have no anger towards them. I actually really wish all the people who sent me messages like, you're a piece of shit, I would love to kick your ass. They wouldn't be able to, but I'd love to be able to, if you better not see me in the streets or like posting shit about my business, making posts about me, all this kind of stuff, go do it. Like, I feel sorry for them that you're doing it, because I remember when I was like that. That's my point.
Right,
I remember wanting to like hurt others because I was doing my own hurt. Because I never did the fucking reflection thing.
I have one question for you. Okay. How long did it take you to make that?
Make what?
That post this morning.
I don't know, like 6 minutes. Not long. Yeah, it's quick.
It was pre-made.
Find the picture.
Yeah, right.
Find the picture. Type the post. I know I use like a lot of times the same font to keep it like not generic. What's the word? Like consistent, I guess. Yeah, it was easy.
No, I was just curious. I know you just wake up at random hours and do this.
I let it come out of my head and I just like type it really quick. And there's like spelling errors and all that, and I read it back like maybe 3 or 4 times. I'm like, this would make it better. I'm just to try to like articulate the point so people can hear it a little bit better.
I want to keep you on schedule here.
Okay.
You got 10 minutes till your video call.
Yes.
This was a great episode.
Great. Awesome. Thank you guys for having on.
I appreciate doing this podcast with you guys too. By the way.
Gratitude.
I enjoy it.
Grateful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I look forward to it too.
No, I'm great. I'm like I was saying, like I'm so grateful. Like gratitude is the highest vibration. So the gratitude of like being able to talk about this stuff with the public. Like I was terrified back in the day to like bring this. I remember like even when I was going through the beginning of my like rehabilitating myself or whatever, I didn't want it. I was like embarrassed, shameful. But like now because I've worked on myself so much, I have like total confidence and feel good about myself. I'm happy. I understand love and all these things with the forgiveness and all that. That it feels like I don't like someone. Yeah, you are. You're the okay. It's like next, like it doesn't faze me at all. It really doesn't anymore. So that's what I want for all of you guys watching the show, to be able to feel like that, and like be able to be like, I can go by myself in that room and feel great about myself. I don't need the dog. Listen, I want to be with the dogs. I want to be with you guys. I want to be with Cassie, my parents, all that stuff. I enjoy it, but I don't need it.
Right.
That's the point that I want to say. And maybe that's a good question to ask yourself. Do I need my dog right now? Do I need to have this dog, or do I need my husband? Like,
or do I just want it?
Yeah, or do I want to be with them because I'm so good with myself? I want to enhance that with another person, with a dog and all that stuff. Getting back to all those questions about when you should get a dog. Awesome. Love you guys.
Good way to end it.
Yeah, love you guys. Have an amazing day.
Yes. Thank you, Prince, for being on the show.
Thanks, Prince. Passed out, doesn't care.
We're gonna go.
Stay safe in the snowstorm.
For the storm.
Yeah, stay safe in the snowstorm. Prepare your dogs. Stay calm and confident. Love you guys. See you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Oh, you know what else I was gonna ask you? You still have your shower notebook?